Hello everyone, this is Advocate Dr. Sheetal Babar and this is my fourth session under the series of lecture concerned to doctrines under Transfer of Property Act. Initially, I have already discussed three doctrines: doctrine of election, doctrine of estoppel and doctrine of part performance. Now in this session, I shall be discussing fourth doctrine under Transfer of Property Act, which deals up with doctrine of lis pendens. Now, what is this doctrine of lis pendens? From the nomenclature, lis is suit and pendens is pending. That means a suit which is pending in the competent court. We shall be all concerned about to this aspect. Before understanding the object and understanding what this section all talks about, let us first read the wordings of this section 52 of Transfer of Property Act, and let us then understand the very objective aims why this doctrine, or basically why this section has been included under Transfer of Property Act. So let us first read section 52 of Transfer of Property Act. Section 52 of Transfer of Property Act reads as such: during the pendency in any court having authority within the limits of India of any suit or proceeding which is not collusive and in which any right to immovable property is directly and specifically in question, the property cannot be transferred or otherwise dealt with by any party to the suit or proceeding so as to affect the rights of any other party thereto under any decree or order which may be made therein, except under the authority of the court and on such terms as it may impose. So now, while we read this section, there are certain things which we can understand. Firstly, section 52 or this particular doctrine is only applicable when the subject matter is immovable property only. So we are no way concerned to movable property, wherein under doctrine of election we were concerned to both types of properties, movable as well as immovable. Sure, under section 52 only immovable property can be the subject matter, firstly. Secondly, there has to be a jurisdiction of the court over that property. So competency of jurisdiction is one of the concerns when we read this particular section. Thirdly, there has to be a transfer taken place concerned to this subject matter. So these are initial things which we should understand before we go ahead with explanations and interpretation of section 52. Prior to that, let us first understand what is this lis pendens. Lis is suit and pendens is pending, as I said. This particular doctrine or section is based upon a maxim which is ad pendent nihil innovatur. Now, what does this mean? Ad pendent nihil innovatur means during litigation, nothing should be changed. In short, what I can state here is this doctrine, or rather this section, embodies a principle which states that the power, control and jurisdiction of a court over the subject matter or over this property cannot be taken away by any of the transactions. That is a very basic principle which is involved in this particular doctrine or under this section 52 of Transfer of Property Act. Or I could rather say that subject matter of a suit cannot be transferred to any third party during the pendency of the suit is something in another language. So what we basically interpret is the basic object of this section 52 is none of the parties can act in such a way that rights of other party gets affected by act of that party. So say for example, A is the property which is subject matter, immovable property, let me be very specific. Immovable property which is subject matter of a suit which is pending in front of the competent court. That means the court which has jurisdiction over that property. B and C are parties to the suit. B malafidely, with a malified intention, while pendency of the suit, transferred this property A to D. Sure, because of section 52, there is a mandate on B and C that they cannot act in such a way that their action shall have any kind of effect on another party. Now, because of this act of transferring the property or rather selling this property to D, B has definitely affected the rights of C, who is one of the parties to the suit. D may be the party to the suit or may not be the party to the suit. But B's acts have definitely affected another party, which is definitely a no-no under this doctrine of lis pendens. Because there cannot be anything done which changes the subject matter when the suit is pending is a very basic object or principle of this particular doctrine or section 52. Let us go ahead in furtherance to the same object which has been very meticulously explained under Rajendra Singh versus Santa Singh. In this case, I shall be reading the very relevant part of the judgment of this case, or a landmark judgment I would rather say. It states, this doctrine was intended to strike attempts by parties to a litigation to circumvent the jurisdiction of the court in which dispute on rights and interests in immovable property is pending by private dealings, which may remove the subject matter out of the ambit of or jurisdiction of the court to decide this matter, or rather to frustrate its decree. So none of them, under Rajendra Singh versus Santa Singh, none of them, that means none of the parties can act in such a way that either that action frustrates the decree of the court or it takes away the jurisdiction of the court, or it takes away the power or ambit of the power of the court from a concern to this property. So this is what the very basic object which has been a concern of section 52. Let's go a bit ahead and understand what are the very basic essentials of this section 52. Here also I shall be taking a support of one of the landmarks judgments, which is Devraj Dogra versus Gyanchand Jain, in which with a very simplicity, Honorable Supreme Court has given us certain conditions where section 52 can be attracted or where it can be dragged into the scenario. The first condition it lays down is suit should be pending. That means pendency of a suit is must condition to attract section 52. Secondly, it talks about this pending suit must be in a competent court. Now here we are not talking about competency of the court, rather we are talking about competency of jurisdiction, whether the court has a jurisdiction or not. So in this case, if someone wants to attract section 52, there has to be pendency of this suit in a competent court, that means in a court which has jurisdiction over this property. Thirdly, suit must not be collusive. Now what does this mean? When does a suit is called as collusive? When there is a malified intention of either of the parties to file this suit. When there is any essence of a malified intention, this suit shall be considered as collusive. So when the suit is collusive, we say there comes no applicability of Section 52. Fourthly, the rights involved in this particular case or suit must be regarding immovable property. So as in immovable property is the only subject matter or can be the only subject matter when it comes to applicability of this doctrine. Fifthly, property must be transferred or otherwise dealt by any of the parties. So there has to be an initial transaction by one or the other parties to affect the rights of the another party respectively. So to drag Section 52, there has to be a mala fide transaction happened or taken by one of the parties to affect the rights of another party. And finally, this alienation must affect the right of that other party. If it is a friendly alienation, if it is an amicable alienation, no Section 52 or there shall be no applicability of Section 52 in this scenario. So as per Devraj Dogra's case, we have 6 essentials. Firstly, the suit must be pending. This suit must be pending in the competent court with a jurisdiction over the property. Thirdly, rights involved must be only concerned to immobile property. Fourthly, this suit must not be collusive. That means it should not be filed with a mala fide intention. Fifthly, there must be a transfer by one party concerned to this immobile property. And finally, this transfer should definitely lay down certain consequences that affects the rights or interest of another party. This is what the essentials to attract or drag Section 52 into the scenario. Now let us see what are those scenarios or situations where Section 52 does not come into the scene or cannot be applied to certain circumstances. There are certain exceptions when it comes to applicability of Section 52. And what are those? The first is Section 52 shall not be applicable in the scene where the property was mortgaged and power was imposed on the mortgagor to transfer that property by his own whims. So if there is a mortgage deed and there is a default on the part of the mortgagor, then the mortgagee definitely do have certain rights which should be quite clearly implied as well as expressed in the mortgage deed. And to exercise mortgagee's rights over the default of the mortgagor, he can transfer that property, and in this situation there shall be no applicability of lis pendens. Secondly, in matters of review, there cannot be applicability of Section 52. So, review, appeals, etc. shall be where lis pendens or rather Section 52 shall not be applied. Thirdly, in case of a friendly suit, Section 52 does not come into the picture. In case of collusive suits, as I have already discussed, this section does not be made applicable. In execution proceedings also, while there is a final judgment and now there is an execution proceedings over that final judgment, we say Section 52 does not apply because that transfer is only after ascertainments of rights of either of the parties. And lastly, in case where the description of the property is improper, incorrect or vague, then Section 52 does not come into the scenario. So, what do we and how do we conclude Section 52? Section 52 is nothing but a doctrine of lis pendens which states that there shall be no change made to the subject matter in case of pendency of a suit. Secondly, this section is only applicable to the subject matter which is only movable property. Thirdly, the suit filed should not be with a mala fide intention, should be filed in a competent court having the jurisdiction over the property, and it should be affecting someone's right. In case of reviews, in case of execution proceedings, in case of collusive suits, and many more, we say this section does not have or cannot have applicability. This is what doctrine of lis pendens is. Doctrine of lis pendens is not only the practice under Transfer of Property Act, but also has a major essence under CPC, that is Civil Procedure Code. The very object, simple object of this doctrine is there should not be any more pendencies and time consumption of the courts, and there should not be any kind of acts from the parties to the suit which frustrates the very decree or frustrates the very jurisdiction of the court, that is the competent court. So this is all about what section 52 discusses under Transfer of Property Act. Thank you so much.